My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. Another thank you to DUK for bringing you this podcast. DUK Premium Performance Sport 3020. That is what I feed my personal dogs. That's what I feed the dogs in the kennel. And we have seen a dramatic change for the better for so many dogs that have come into the kennel, have switched over to this food, whether it's coat, whether it's energy level, whether it's the amount of food that is needed to be fed to keep the proper weight. There's just so many benefits that we're seeing that I would highly, highly recommend going and checking that out. So DUK Premium Performance Sport 3020. Also, thank you to Gun Dog Supply. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. There are just so few places that those of us that are gun dog enthusiasts, trainers, both professionally and amateurs, there's few places we can go that are one-stop shops for us, right? And gundogsupply.com is that place. And so if you're in the need for anything, whether it's for your hunting endeavors with your dog or your training season as we go into that, go check them out, www.gundogsupply.com. Before I get into this episode, I'd like to give one more shout out. And I want to give this shout out to a good friend of mine named Jake Terry. Jake is really the reason that all of this came together. Jake encouraged me for a long time to do this. Jake is actually the one that edits a lot of these. And so for those of you that caught the Strike podcast and I have my coughing attack, that's Jake's fault that didn't get edited out. But he's done so much, between getting the intro, getting everything that has been needed to make this a reality. And I think he deserves a shout out there. So Jake, and what's cool about this is that there are just, he's one of many examples, but Jake and I have become very close, very good friends, and it's through the dogs, right? Like we would have probably never connected if it wasn't for the dogs. And I think that's so unique, that these dogs bring us together and, give us and provide for us these relationships. And for me, Jake is just one of those special people in my life that the dogs have offered that to me. So thank you, Jake. Appreciate everything that you do. Can't thank you enough. So as we go into this week, I want to start off with following up on something that I talked about a couple episodes ago, and I probably owe you an apology because I didn't realize how I left you guys hanging. And I got a number of messages about this and appreciate that. Appreciate you guys are wanting this information. Appreciate you guys calling me out when I don't provide it for you. But we talked about a few episodes ago about an issue that I was having with one of my personal dogs, Bud. And so if you haven't listened to it, I think it was 2 episodes back, I talked about how hunting season had kind of created this bad habit of popping. And, it was something that he's never done before. It is something that 100% came from, the hunting season and the situations that he was in. And, naturally how I had to handle differently due to the circumstances, 100% my fault. And I talked about that this came up and how neat it was that, that it did come up and why it came up and how I was able to identify it. But I didn't tell you guys how I was going to fix it. And that's my bad. But we're going to go through that right now because it is actually already fixed. It did not take him long at all. But I think I owe you guys that explanation as far as how I worked through that. So, again, quick recap. Bud started popping on me, the first, as we kind of ramped up, training season again. I usually give my dogs a few weeks off, as I kind of get done with the hunting season. I go into show season, which we didn't have this year, but I normally have, Great American Outdoor Show. I usually have Pheasant Fest. I usually have NRA. I usually have a number of shows that I speak at in that like February timeframe, sometimes, into early March. And, it's fine because up here in Wisconsin, the weather is, let's just say, less than ideal. Usually a lot of snow, usually a lot of ice, and just not great training weather. So, no big deal at all for me. But I usually give, my dogs that downtime because they've been running basically from April, through, call it August, with training really hard in hunt tests, and then go into hunting season, which we hunt really, really hard. Travel a lot, and it just takes a toll on me. I wish I could take the breather, but I afford it to my dogs to take that time off, recoup, refresh, and then once Mother Nature says go for it, then we get back into training. So I eased into training here this year with my personal dogs, and Bud was showing me this popping. So again, I identified it from the hunts, right, where he just out of luck, he was just on a lot of hunts where he had a lot of cripple birds that were diving, where he would get in that area, they would dive, he'd spin, and he would look up at me, and I would see where that bird is, and I would cast him over to it quickly. And a lot of this just had to do with trying to pick that bird up as quickly and as efficiently as possible, so that the anywhere from 4 to 8 other guys that are in the blind didn't miss out on more birds that were working, more birds that were coming in. And I know some of the dog guys out there might roll their eyes at this a little bit, but you've been there, right? Where, yes, I get to hunt a lot more than the average person, but some of these guys are in the blind. This might be the only 2-3 day stretch that they really get out. So I always think it's kind of selfish if I'm going to be like, hey guys, this is my time. I don't care what the birds are doing. I don't care what's going on, because I already ask a lot of them. Like I already ask, when the dogs are on a retrieve, I don't care what happens, you don't shoot, right? And that is very tempting for a lot of people. It's for the safety of the dogs. And so I already set parameters for a number of things. Yeah, this isn't the Josh show. This isn't the, in this case, Bud show. This is the hunt. These guys are on the hunt. This is why we train all year, is for this. But naturally, I just handle a little differently to try to be as quick and efficient as possible. So as a result, we fast forward now to training season. Bud was going out on his blinds, and he would get to about that 30, anywhere from 30 to 40 yards, and he would spin and look for a direction. Again, totally my fault, because I was helping him through the hunting season. And so a number of people are like, hey, how did you work through that? Or what are you going to do? And what's the plan? And again, didn't take long for Bud. But what I did is it's always easier to work through or overcome a bad habit or an issue if you can identify where it came from. So I already knew where this came from. And so I knew that this was a confidence thing. He was relying on me to get to that end goal. I wanted him confident and relying on himself. And so what I did is I ran memories. So I put a pile of bumpers in one spot, and I'd stretch it out, and I'd run anywhere from 100, 150. Yeah, I think what I did here 2 days ago, I think I was more around that 2 to 215, 200 to 215 yard mark. And I would run him back to that spot, that pile of bumpers, and run him back there 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Well, of course, after the first time, he knows where that is, right? So naturally, the second time, he's going to carry very confidently back to that point. And now, again, Bud is a very finished dog. He is a he's a hunting retriever champion, and I mean, he's just that caliber of dog where he doesn't need a whole lot of tweaking, but going back and just bringing that confidence back out of in him helped that. The reason I tell you that the level of dog that he is because one, I don't want you to think that just because your dog is finished, these bad habits or issues aren't going to creep up here and there. They certainly will. But then two is that if your dog is not at that level, and say you're more introductory into casting and handling, and you have a dog that's popping on you, it doesn't necessarily mean that just by running some memories, it's going to rectify or solve that issue. It might help, but it also might not. So I'm doing more maintenance work, with him rather than actually teaching, and rather, teaching something new, I should say. So that's how I worked through it with him. Like I said, did not take long. It just was giving him that confidence back, and he did a great job with it. And I think kind of looking forward, because this is always something that it's a learning process, right? Like, I've now identified that this is something that, is potentially going to be an issue for next year. So my, mindset into this next hunting season knows, well, this happened with Bud last year. Maybe I need to approach this differently. Maybe I do need to take a little more time for myself, and work through this, and hopefully set myself up so that I don't have, the same hurdle, this next coming season, right? Next training season as I start. So, always good, always learning each individual dog for who they are, always kind of trying to, progress and, progress as a handler, as a trainer, but each dog is different, and for me, I have really 6-7 dogs that I'm always trying to work and always trying to progress with. I'd love, but I'd hate. I mean, I'd love if I just had one, because I think I could, dial in that one dog crazy good, to where I wouldn't have to worry about anybody else. But at the same time, like, I love that challenge. I love that each dog has this different personality, and, love what all those dogs have to offer as far as their, unique skill sets. So, I think there's a lot of cool stuff there for sure. So, I want to get into now. I really like that whole mailbag thing, where we had a number of people, again, on the Riverstone Kennels page. If you saw, probably a couple weeks ago now, I posed a question if there was any topics or anything that people wanted to hear about, and we had a tremendous response. And so I picked a couple more out, kind of timely, and I'll tell you why this is timely. Before I do that, I want to thank Lucky Duck. If you guys have not checked out the Lucky Duck kennel, do so. They have a brand new large size. Now they have intermediate and large. So if you have a bigger dog, you need more room, they have that. And it's the only 5-star crash test rated for a dog that is sized that big. So I think that's cool. But LuckyDuck.com, go check them out. I love those crates. Okay, so why do I say that these two questions that I picked out are timely? Well, today at the kennel, I had an insanely crazy day. I had 6 appointments that turned into 7. I have my head trainer, Dave, who Dave has trained with me for, I think, 8 going on 9 years. He had an unfortunate death in the family, and so he's out this week. And so, it just has a lot going on. And to give an idea, as I look at my emails here, let's see, I sent my first email this morning at 4:04 a.m. It's just like, and right now it is 10:42 p.m. It's been a little bit of a long day. And one of the appointments today was a gentleman that came out, and he was trying to look at the kennel, see if he wanted to send his dog in, which, to be honest with you, like, we can't even really do because we're completely booked up. But I always invite people to come out if they want to come out, meet me in person, see the kennel, give them a tour, all that kind of stuff. And so this particular individual showed up about 30 minutes late for his appointment. And, again, with how busy we've been, it was, a little edgy, but I think it was still very personal and professional and everything. And he made a comment as we were talking about stuff. He's like, "Man, I wish I had your job. All you do is play with dogs all day." And I'm like, sitting there trying not to have a stroke, as I'm like, my eyes twitching and my my head's shaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, So take deep breath in, deep breath out. It's fine. let it roll off my back. And now, fortunately, we are in a situation where I say this internally to my team, that we don't need clients. We need the right clients. And I'll kind of tell you, what I mean by that as we go along here. But I want to take us into the first question, which the first question was from Chris Chapman. And Chris says, take us into a day for you at the kennel. I think this is, again, interesting just because the timeliness of it, because as many of you know, it's not what I get to do all day. I don't get to just play with dogs all day. I wish I did. I don't. And so let me kind of go through that with you. And this is going to be different because we are into what we consider our summer schedule now. Summer schedules for us are much different than winter, again, being that it's very cold outside. Most of our winter training is done, different hours, different durations. We don't take gun dogs in. We have really just obedience. We'll do table work, things like that, but we can't do a lot in the winter. So summer training, like I said, my first, I think my first email, I closed it out now, but I think it was 4:04 a.m. this morning is when I sent my first email. A normal day for me is I will get to the kennel very early. I will catch up on my emails. I will make kind of a game plan of what I have to do that day, and I will start training right away. And I'll tell you that my early hours is probably my favorite time of the day, because I just get to do me, right? Like I get to answer the emails I need to answer. I get to train without distractions, without phone calls, without employee questions, without anything going on, and I just get to have that me time. And for me, I think what those early hours do is just reaffirms to me why I do this. Like I love that one-on-one time with these dogs, and I love that time where I can just melt into the process of what I'm doing. And so I love those early hours. And meanwhile, we have a chore team that we kind of coined them the chore team. They come in and they clean all the kennels, they air all the dogs out, they kind of go through the day-to-day kennel routine. But for me, I'm really dedicated that early time to training. Then we roll into, as the day goes on, of course, I have, more employees that show up, which naturally, as you get into more of the business hours, there's a lot of phone calls. There's, obviously emails kind of stack up. And so I try to field those the best I can throughout the day. But then there's also appointments. And so you think about an appointment, right? So for us, most appointments are anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half long. People come out, whether it's to do a check-in with their dog, kind of see how their dog is going along, whether it is someone coming in to meet us and see the kennel and see the facility. Maybe it's someone picking a dog up, and depending on the level of training that goes on, need more time or less time. So each one of those appointments, are anywhere again from an hour to an hour and a half, I'd say on average. Some people don't like to talk and they like to just get things done and be quick. Totally cool. Some people are very detailed and in depth, and sometimes it takes longer. But these appointments stack up. Not only that, again, phone calls and everything else, because as you can imagine, my phone calls aren't 5-minute phone calls. They're oftentimes a half hour to 40 minutes plus sometimes. And so my biggest hurdle that I have is managing the time throughout the day, because I want to be able to give the time to everyone. I want to make sure that everyone knows I appreciate them, and I want to give them my undivided attention. But, like today, again, I had 7 appointments. That's 7 to 10, 11, 12 hours right there, right? Now, this probably is more like, the 7-hour end of it, but 7 hours of appointments. That's not including the training, which is obviously the work that I need to get done, which takes up a huge chunk of the time. And so, that has been kind of a growing struggle for me. As we grow, there's more and more people that want the time, and to be honest with you, there's less of me, What I mean by that is that I have a young family now. I have a 2-year-old daughter named Ava. I have a 6-month old son named Colt. I mean, those guys are my world. And I don't get that morning time with them before they go to school because I have to be, working, especially as we get into the summer, warmer weather. I want to be capturing that cool part of the day. But this year, I am making a change. And I am making that change for my family. And I'm going to say that I'm going to try to be done. I say try. I should just say I'm done. I'm done every day at 2 because I've already been there for 10 hours, right? I should just say I'm done at 2. Our office hours and our office manager will still be there to, take phone calls, everything else, but I'm done at 2. That way I could dedicate my time. And here's why I think this is so important to me. I have a client of mine named Kent. Kent Cohen lives in Nebraska. And Kent, really funny. I actually tried to push Kent away as a client when we were early on because he was like this ultra detail guy. Like he wanted down to the minute. Like, how many minutes is my dog going to get trained every day? And how many? I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, like I just don't know if I want to go down this road. So we kind of joke about that now, but now today, I can tell you that Kent is one of those people that I know I can call anytime, and he will give me an open ear, an honest answer, and he'd become a mentor of sorts for me. And Kent and I were in the duck blind this past season, and Kent is not a duck hunter; he's an upland guy. I think he probably comes duck hunting with me more for me, so we can spend that time together. But we were in the blind, and he was asking about the family, how things are going, how the kids are growing, all that kind of stuff. He asked about the business, and I kind of told him, hey, super excited, because he was also a business owner, grew a business. I'm like, yeah, this is what I have going on. Here's our growth, and here's what I have going on, here. And he looked at me. And he said something that changed my point of view, which was Josh, I think everything you're doing is great, but don't be that guy that looks back 20 years from now and wishes that you could have that time back. And I mean, that like hit me like a 2x4, I was like, it's real now, right? And if you had kids, if you have had kids, you know what he means by that. I mean, this time goes by so fast. And so, although I pour myself into my work, although I'm very proud and prideful of my work, I'm going to try to make my family, the priority, going on this year. And I think it's probably one of the most intelligent things I have ever done for my business, because I think I will be more upbeat and energetic. Not that I'm not. I always try to be. But I think naturally, you just are going to have more of that kind of renewed energy, which I think is always a great thing. Because, these days, again, my first team was I think I said 404, and, we're sitting here, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, you can only do so many of those days in a row before it wears on you. And so I kind of appreciate, this question, because it's something that I think a lot of people don't see. Now, with all that being said, I wouldn't change what I do for the world. Like, I truly love what I do. I love being able to get up every day and work with these dogs. I love getting up every day working with these people. I love every day being able to be outside. I mean, there's just so many things that I love about this. But it's amazing how as you grow, so do your priorities. My priority for a lot of years now, I think 11 years, has been growing this business. Well, now I'm growing a family. There's a lot that changes there. So some of you may have had no interest in that at all. So you might have been going, well, I thought this was about training, not about you. So apologize if you don't have any interest in it. But I think it's an interesting thought, because we do. Actually, let me jump up to the next question, because I was actually going to answer that. Before I do that, thank you to Sitka Gear, sitkagear.com. If you guys go on there, they have some brand new everyday clothing, which is what I'm literally wearing right now. And, I love these pants. I love this shirt that I'm wearing right here. This clothes, like it's so, to me, it's so much more than clothes. Like I've always worn clothes, obviously, but this is like, it is thought out. It is designed for when you are outside, when you're in the outdoors. And I'm just so much more comfortable when I wear it. So www.sitkagear.com. Go check them out. So this next question comes from Jake Miller. No relation, even though I do have a younger brother named Jake Miller, which is kind of funny. But Jake Miller says, and it's kind of written as more of a statement, so I'm going to tweak it a little bit. But it says, home life with the dogs, everyday training routines. Do you train them every day? And so, home life with my dogs is really interesting, and I'll kind of go through this because I kind of just gave you a little bit of the training routine, that I have as far as this is every day. We train 5 days a week. I know it's a lot. I know not every kennel does that. We do. I think consistency is very important. I also think that mental break that these dogs get on the weekend, not only the mental break for, say, Dave and myself, and Whitney is, we need that mental break as well. But it is amazing how if you can have a really, really efficient, great training day on Friday, how Monday they just seem to be so much more crisp. And I really believe that, that Friday kind of sits with them. It resonates with them. They think about it. And then they come out, that much more, sharp and on point on Monday. And so it's really something that we really try to focus on our Fridays, have great Fridays. But a routine for us is just that. It's Monday through Friday. We train every single day. The duration of the training always varies as far as the training sessions, because I'm huge on quality over quantity. I want to go out there with a purpose. I want to be successful, and I want to be very purposeful in what I'm doing. And so everybody always wants like a number of minutes and how many times and all stuff, and it really doesn't come down to that for me. I read each dog for what they are doing, for where they are in their training, and it varies every day. But it is an everyday thing for us as far as that Monday through Friday. Home life with the dogs. This is really interesting to me because I will tell you, for me personally, my dogs get the back seat all the time. I think naturally, for me in my situation, the dogs that are in for training, that is what puts food on the table for my family. That is what turns my lights on. They need to have the priority. And as I just went over with you guys, like, there's a lot that goes into every day. And so sometimes I run out of time. Now I try to end my day every day with training my personal dogs. And the reason I do that is, I kind of talked about my morning and why I just kind of, it's me and my time. It reaffirms why I do this. It gives me kind of that focus, that kind of calmed focus, because I don't have any distractions. And I try to finish that way too. And I finish with my own dogs because my own dogs kind of give me that breath of peace of, all right, I know I, had, DUK was frustrating today, and, Maverick made me pull my hair out, and what am I going to do, with Roscoe to get him, where he has to be? And there's so many things that through the day, that naturally they stress me out, they frustrate me, they challenge me, which is a positive thing. And my dogs, when I get to my dogs, I can just kind of take that breath and be like, okay, bud, we need to run memories because we need to get over this popping thing. I know you're going to get over it, right? We're just going to take our time and get there. And I think one of the reasons that this does that for me is because I don't have this stress of, someone over my shoulder being like, where's my dog at? What are they doing? Why aren't they doing this right? Everything that comes with naturally as an owner is at home. They want the best for their dog, of course, as do I. I don't have that, right? But I also don't have the number one stress creator in my business, which is timelines. I don't have a timeline with my dog. And that's what, if you are at home, if you're listening to this and you are training your own dog, I think that's the absolute best thing. The number one thing you have on your side is time. It is extremely rare that I get somebody that drops a dog off and says, Josh, however much time you need, take it. Don't care if it's 6 months, don't care if it's a year. Whenever he's done, he's done. Very rare. Now, when I get that, those dogs turn out to be the best dogs that that come through the kennel, right? But it's very rare. And I love that, that these dogs are a part of your family. I love that these dogs are a part of your everyday life. I love that you want them home. I love all that. But on the flip side, it does stress me out because, these timelines are stuff that sometimes is difficult. It hit them. And I wish I could just take the time that I need to get there. And I'd say a lot of my clients are great about it. But of course, there's always a point there that, I want to be respectful to them. They're being respectful to me. And naturally, just with my own dogs, I don't have to worry about that. And ending my day that way, I think just allows me to, to take that breath. Now, with that being said, I don't get to train my dogs every day. I don't get to work with them every day. I wish I did. But, as, just the way that the time in a day works, right? If we get a 2-hour rainstorm in the morning, that's 2 hours of my day that I got to try to, make that up somewhere, right? Unexpected client, comes up, a phone call lasts way too long. I get, like today I had one of my friends from overseas, call early on, and that was, an hour and 10, minute, call. It's like stuff just adds up. And I know it does in your life too. I'm not trying to say that what I have going on is unique at all. But it's sure as heck a lot different than, as it was told to me today, playing with puppies all day, playing with dogs all day. A lot different than that. And that's just from the training side of it. We didn't even talk about anything that goes on with the breeding side and the puppy side and all that kind of stuff. Now, luckily, I have probably the best woman on this planet as far as I'm concerned in Whitney that handles all that, and she does all that, and she takes care of all that for me. And she's better at it than I am. Like she is, I call her the puppy queen for a reason. Like she's very, very good at the puppy side of things. I think much better than I would be because I love the adult side. I love pushing, these dogs. I love getting the most out of them. I love puppies, but not like she does. That is her life, right? I love the adult dog side of things. I love that challenge. And, so as we kind of look at like our home life, I would say we do struggle with probably what everybody struggles with, right? As far as their home life with their dog, which is keeping their dogs in a routine and keeping that clarity. And just naturally at home, you are going to have gray area. It's just going to happen. Like I said, like I've got a 2-year-old daughter, 6-month-old son. And the reality is that, if Brock is, at my side, kind of looking up at me and I've got, my son sitting here crying, like I love Brock to death, but I got to take care of Colt, right? Like it's just how it works out. And so naturally, like, maybe, Brock sneaks on a chair and sits on a chair he's not supposed to, right? Maybe he, gets away with something I wouldn't normally let him get away with. And so I think we struggle with that just like anybody would, but I also don't think we struggle much at it. Like I think we do a very good job with our routine. Whitney and I I think we are very routine people. We try to stay in a routine, and I think that helps our dogs. But it's something that I think we all, if we were honest with ourselves, we all struggle with that. If we have dogs that live in the house with us, our dogs do get away with more than if they were kennel dogs or they lived, in a kennel outside, but we just don't see that very often anymore at all. It is very, very abnormal that we see a dog that lives out in the kennel, is more or less a hunting tool. Again, we just don't see it. So, as far as the home life with our dogs go, the dogs are, they are a huge, huge part of our life. We actually have debates, because we have, our personal dogs are Brock, Bud, Clyde, Strike, Bracken, Sage, Dixie, Breeze, Ranger, and now Purdy. And 10 dogs. Yeah, we're crazy, but obviously it's our business too. But 10 dogs. So Whitney and I have legitimate debates on what 2 dogs get to go to the lake this weekend. Because it's not like we have a mansion, right? So, we can only have so many dogs with us. What 2 get to go to the lake this weekend? Well, I've got my 2, she's got her 2. We go back and forth, and we usually compromise and do whatever she wants to do, like most good marriages, right? And that's a big part of our life, and again, our house that we have on our farm, it's not a huge house. We don't have all 10 dogs in the house with us, and so we rotate them in every day. 2 come in, the next 2 come in, the next 2 come in, and we rotate through them. But it's important. It's important that they're a part of our life. It's important to me that they're a part of our kids' lives. As they grow up, every single day, Ava comes home from daycare, and she's like today, she's like, "Where's Brock? Where's Brock? Where's Brock?" And I love that these dogs are such a part of her life that's one of the first things that she wants to do when she gets home is go see the dogs. It's one of the first things that she does when she gets up, because the way that our house sits and our kennel runs, we have indoor, outdoor kennel runs, and the outdoor part is right outside of her bedroom window. So every day when I get her up, the first thing she wants to do is go to the window. We lift the window up, and she says hi to every single one of the dogs, and calls them by name, and we say hi to them, and say good morning, and then we start our day. I love that that's a part of my family, and I love that as I hopefully look back on this, something I can be grateful for, that lifestyle that I was able to provide for them. And, so they're very, very much a part of our family and a part of our everyday home life. So, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. That's kind of all I had here tonight because I'm very tired. And so I'm going to get to bed because I have to be up early again tomorrow. We have another couple these next 2 days, to be honest with you, I'm not looking forward, to these next 2 days. There's so much that we have to do. And, we're kind of at that point where a lot of dogs are going home, a lot of dogs are coming in. And so, there's a lot of extra, prep work and everything else. So I'll be ready for this weekend. Let's just say that. I'll be ready for the weekend. So hope you guys have a great week. Appreciate you guys checking in with me again, and I will talk with you all next week. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to DUK because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.